keeping the reviews going, G.I. Joeing, rocking and rolling. Today's review is G.I. Joe Classified Series Craig McConnell, aka Rock and Roll G.I. Joe Heavy Machine Gunner. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of George Reviews. I am the Age Transformer fan, and today we're going to take a look at Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series number 71, Rock and Roll. This is the front of the packaging. There's Rock and Roll throwing up the, what is this, the peace sign? What up, though? Brotherly love, one of those, I think it's the love sign. I don't know. I'm not that much of a hippie. In the background on the packaging, we can see Astro Train in full disguise in this little crossover. Front of the box shows you everything you need to know. No need to even turn it around. It's the figure. This is the image of the figure. I don't think this is the real figure. It looks a little too good to be the real figure. But a mock-up of the figure. Some artwork for Rock and Roll. All of the accessories right here. Again, I already kind of read that stuff off. Hasbro, turn around, boom, boom. Back of the box, product shot tells us that he's 6'4" tall, or 163 millimeters. Again, all the weapons. A close-up look and a highlight of his tattoos, the back of the figure, and the side of the box. That pretty cool artwork right there. So let's get Rock and Roll out of the box and take a look. Here's Rock and Roll, and the little insert again has the artwork in the background. Kind of a waste of ink though, because I'm going to throw this out, but the presentation is still cool. Here is the foot locker for Rock and Roll. This contains the weapons. Rip this thing open. Take a look. Here is a strap of his bullets. It's really soft plastic. Wasn't expecting it to be this soft, this thin. His heavy machine gun. Walkie-talkie. It's cool. And a little bit of bullets. What's this about? I think it hangs out of the gun. His helmet. Ammunition box right here. One Glock. And alright, a set of interchangeable hands. Alright, let's free Rock and Roll. There we go. And this officially completes the unboxing portion of the review. Alright, let's get to it. Bring him closer. You know, we always start with the head sculpt. Looks pretty good. He has like a little stern. It's a little bit past just neutral. You know what I mean? Like he's concentrated look to his face. Nice molded detail. Looks like my paint is on the sculpt. I had a few issues a little bit with the Sarge and a little bit with Shipwreck in our previous reviews, but it looks good. The hair is not a separate molded piece. A lot of these guys have a separate plastic piece capped on to the head for the hair, but this is all the same plastic. The plastic, this is flesh tone color. You can see it all the way around, and they've added the blonde paint to it, and they've even added some highlights to give it a bit of a dirty blonde look all the way around. Rock and Roll looks pretty good. You can tell, you can see he has brown eyes. So that is painted very well on this figure. Backing out, taking a look at his chest. I see some imperfections at his shoulder. The monitor doesn't look so bad, so I don't know how well it's picking up on camera, but I have some bleed over here and the scratch right here. Same thing on this side. And by the shirt being painted under here, I'm expecting that. You can see right there, scraping off. I know it's the hinge, but doing this over time, you're going to wear that away. So they should have cast the shoulder in the same plastic, because this, his chest, his main torso is casted in this beige plastic. They should have casted the entire shoulder, and then, well, you know what, I'll take that back, because the top would have rubbed too. So let me leave that alone. What they should have did is just had them in all green like the vintage figure. Alright, taking a look at his bullets going across his chest. I'm pretty sure if you worked at it, you can slide these off, but I don't think they're meant to be removable. Well, I'm pretty sure you can get them off, but it's like they don't snap on anywhere. It's just glued on here, as far as I can tell. And then with the bullets, it is like gold-ish type of plastic. I really wish they had just did it in all brown plastic and painted the bullets. I know it might have cost them more in the paint apps, but I don't customize these guys, but I'm definitely going to hit each and every one of these bullets with like a brass color or goldish color to make it pop a little bit more. It just looks, I don't want to say cheap, but I'm going to have to say cheap. Just look a little cheap with the bullets. Like if they had done it, you could tell it's like it's just not the same. You know what I mean? Like from this belt right here. Before we get on there, let's take a look at his tattoos. Now I've been squinting. I don't know. I know this is a skull kind of looking sideways. I think some smoke coming out of the sides of his mouth. I'm not sure. And right here, I don't know what that is. I can't make that out. Maybe you can tell me. On the inside of his bicep, he has mom right there. Coming over to his left arm, we got like another skull going on here. This time it's shooting like death beams out of the eyes or something, some light coming out of the eyes. And on this forearm, again, like I can't make this out. I don't know if I'm supposed to turn it sideways or what, but I don't know what that is. On Rock and Roll's right hand, we get the skeleton tattoo. The wrist, he has bullets on his wrist. And these are actually painted gold. Not very well or not heavily coated, but painted gold. And this, I believe it's a separate piece. Let me pop his hand off right now. And yep, you can take this off. It is a separate piece. Get his hand back in. And I'm happy I get to demonstrate the hand coming out, because later on you'll just see the hands on the figure. Coming over to this wrist. This is a watch. It's just some type of little band. It's not even a watch or anything. But it has some molded and detail on it. Alright, coming down to his belt. This belt right here, it floats around freely. Has a little peg hole in it. He has some clips right here molded in. And none of it's painted. It's just a brown plastic. It has a pouch right here. Has another pouch in the back. It has a water cantina right here. It's molded in very well. Could have used one or two little spots of paint on it. On this side of his leg, we get another pouch. I don't know what goes in there, what that is. I don't know, but it's nice, molded. Over here, we got the gun holster, again, brown plastic. Coming down to his knees, we got some molded in kneecap pads or whatever right here that painted brown. The boots are, I would say, standard boots. They're just military boots. They have some leather texturing on them. All right, now for Rock and Roll's articulation. He is a standard body or buck for G.I. Joe. You've seen one articulation, you've seen them all. So let's shoot through it. Look up, down, side to side, because there's a ball joint, a lot, 360 out of that. Coming to his shoulders, they come up this far. Complete 360 rotation right there. Has a butterfly hinge, and as always, these hinges could be a little bit better. Bicep swivel right here, full 360. Double jointed elbow, plenty of bend out of that. Coming down to his wrist, full 360. Hinge right there at the base of the palm. In and out. His abdomen rocks back this far. Forward this much. Coming to his waist. It will full 360, but I'm not because of that oval shape, and I don't want to stretch it. And it also rocks at the waist if you wanted it to. Coming down to his hips. Full splits. And to the back. And as always, the drop down hips are activating automatically. Thigh swivel. Full 360. Probably was unnecessary, but knee bend, double jointed knee, and these new knees are hard to activate. Boot cut. It is here. Full 360. Ankle rocks to the front, to the back, and side to side. And that is a look at our Rock and Roll. Accessories. First thing we're going to do is take a look at his pistol. Looks like a Glock to me. Little extended clip right there. Get more rounds out of it. Bam. So we get in his hand here. No problem getting this gun in his hand. And this is very realistically scaled. It's not an oversized gun. Looks good in his hand. Now let's get it holstered. Bam. No problems there. Next up is a helmet for Rock and Roll. And it sort of looks like the helmet that came with the machine gunning roadblock. I think it's a little bit different. It is all green plastic. It has hang 10 right there. That is very cool. Some molded in detail. Some brown paint right here. I think this is supposed to be leather. He has like a little notepad thing back here, which is very cool. And again, the paint continues around to the other side. Let's get this on his head. Looks realistic. It doesn't look too oversized or anything like that. Looks good. Next up is this bullet box for the machine gun. Now, it has two functions. It can fit onto his waist right here. Here's the machine gun. It can fit on the side of the machine gun right here to give him two different looks. Just like that. So while we have the machine gun out, let's take a look. It is a standard M60 machine gun. We've seen Rambo used this gun. It's been used in a ton of military movies. I mean, you don't even have to be military to know what this is. It's all black plastic. It has these supports for when you put it on the ground and you set it on something and shoots. Now, these things right here is really tiny. And I'm afraid of breaking these little things off because you can't use them anymore if you break it off. Because, these things break off. It's kind of cool that it folds up, but they break off. It's over. But black plastic, green plastic right there. No fuss, no muss, fits right in his hand. And next up, and very importantly, is a strip of bullets. Much like the ones he have on his chest, it is like this tan color plastic with some brown painted on it for the straps that the bullets fit in. And you could take this and stick it in here and bring the bullets around to the gun. I hope I'm doing this correctly. And plug the bullets into the gun, and he can it's beautiful, man, beautiful. Then we could take the ammo box and plug it here on these two pegs, right here, into these two holes right here on the side of the inside. Now we have this short strand of bullets, and we can just put it in this little hole right here, same hole we had the longer strand in, and feed it through this little opening here. And you can make it appear that the bullets are coming straight out of the box. I mean, he's just murdering Cobra troopers. Rock and Roll was one of my favorite vintage Joes. I know he was like really, really generic, but it was a time like I didn't have Duke for a long time in a vintage toy line as a kid, but I had Rock and Roll, so I would use Rock and Roll as Duke. And then once I got Duke, I used to pretend like Rock and Roll was his dad. I don't know why, don't ask me why, but I just did that. And man, this takes me back. Next up is a walkie-talkie for our guy. You can see a molded in keypad right there so he can punch in some buttons. A screen is just black paint. There's some brown paint at the bottom and brown paint at the top for the dials. I don't know, this might be, you know what, this is green paint. And the brown is the color of the plastic. Yeah, definitely. And we can take this. There's a hole in the back of his belt right here. And we can put his walkie-talkie right back here. You can carry it around. Alright, it's time to give Rock and Roll a size up and a rundown. Kicking it off with Transformers Generation 1 Jazz. Next up is Transformers Earthrise Soundwave and Studio Series Blaster. Now for the Battle of the Blonde Beards. Here he is with Marvel Legends Endgame Thor, Master of the Universe Fisto. Alright, and to close it out, fellow Joes, Breaker and Duke. You know I gotta put our boy next to some old school artwork. Bam! And you can see the old school Rock and Roll just out on a straight green uniform. No detail, no tattoos. Still was cool. Moving on. Final thoughts on Rock and Roll. Another great figure. Another great entry into the G.I. Joe classified lines. Man, if you're not in on this toy line, you are missing out. If you enjoy these as a kid, it's like they've recreated a lot of the same themes, just blown it up. I love it. Nice deco, like the little pouches. The one thing I kind of thought they should have did better with the bullets. And I'm going to sit up here. I'm going to paint my bullets. I promise you. I'll show it off in another review, but I'm going to paint those. But everything else looked good. The tattoos, I'm not a tattoo guy, but I know what they're doing. The tattoos are printed very well. They look so realistic. They look so realistic. In fact, I can't even make it out like what some of them are. And that's just like real life. Excellent amount of accessories. Love the M60. It was perfect is what he had back in the day. He still has it now. The short bullet, the long bullet strand. He comes with a pistol, I think for the first time ever, or the first time that I know of, which is a very nice touch because he can't carry that heavy damn thing around all the time. Helmet, interchangeable hands. They threw in a walkie-talkie. He had a ton of molded in stuff on his belt already, but then they added a walkie-talkie you can put back there. Again, another great figure. Do you guys have it? Did you pick it up? What are your thoughts on this figure? Because that's all I have for you for now. I want to thank everybody for joining me for another episode of George Reviews. The reviews where every toy has a story. Rock and roll, dude.